So does anybody know about Celtic mythology? Well, Celtic mythology encompasses what we know of Irish mythology, Scottish mythology, Welsh mythology, and many more. And one such myth would be that of Finn McCool. In general, myths teach us about culture, history, and our flaws. I'm interested in Celtic mythology and Finn McCool in particular because of its links to my roots in Irish and Scottish culture. My research in Finn McCool has taught me about Finn McCool's background, his life, and his importance to the Celtic culture as a whole. And to start learning about Finn, we must first learn about his background. And now I present a rudimentary chart of relationships between Finn McCool's father, Cumhaill, who was the leader of the Fionn, which is, according to the book of Donegan and Gilbert, the Heroic Ballads of Gaelic Scotland, published in 2013, was a band of warriors. That worked for the king. And Cumhaill derived from one of two clans from the Fionn. The Fionn was split to two clans, Clan Morna, which was led by Gol MacMorna, and Clan Bosch, which was led by Cumhaill. Eventually, one winter, according to the book, The Birth and Boyhood of Finn McCool, published in November 2015, Cumhaill fell in love with a woman named Muireann, who is the daughter of a Druid named Tig, who also works alongside the Fianna with the king. Cumhaill eventually tries to marry Muireann, but Tig rejects it, which causes a war between Clan Morna and Clan Bosch for Muireann, during all of which Finn McCool is born. And Cumhaill dies in battle to Gol MacMorna. And so now we move on to the actual life of Finn McCool. After being raised by his aunt, Finn McCool joins the Fianna, or at least attempts to join the Fianna. Finn presents himself to the king and voices his wishes to join the Fianna. But the king, according to Lunarium.org, Lunarium.org's article, The Coming of Finn, retrieved in November 2020, Finn has to prove himself in order to join the Fianna. And so he does this by battling a Fey prince who has been troubling the king and the Fianna for many years. And he does this Finn does this by battling the Fairy. The Fae uses a spell to put everyone to sleep, and in order to counteract this spell, Finn uses a spear, much like this one, and uses it to keep himself awake before stabbing the Fae in the back and earning his place as captain of the Fianna. Later in life, Finn meets his wife, Sive. According to Salem Press's book, Critical Survey of Myth and Folklore, published in 2015, Sive was discovered when Finn was out with his hunting dogs, and they discovered a fawn. And the fawn turned out to be Sive, who was cursed to be a deer. But and Finn saved her, during which they spent a good amount of time together and were able to conceive Finn's son. But while Finn was out hunting with the Fianna, Sive disappeared, and for many years, Finn searched for Sive but couldn't find her until years later, Finn discovered a young boy that resembled Sive and knew immediately that was his son, who he promptly named ocean. Finn's many adventures express a lot about what was valued in Celtic culture about hard work. And Fionn is a particularly important figure within Celtic mythology. He bears similarities to that of King Arthur, according to the article of Who is Fionn McCool, published in April of 2020. And here is a painting of Fionn McCool. Okay. And like King Arthur, Fionn McCool is believed to be based on a real person who actually lived within history. And they are also similar in that they have myths about not actually truly being dead, but only sleeping until their country has need of them. And Fionn McCool is also important because of how his stories have been preserved. Irish folktales and Celtic folktales in general were all delivered orally, meaning they were spoken by word and passed down by speech. But when Christians came to Ireland and other such countries to document their stories and their history, going back to the article Who is Fionn McCool, the Christians didn't accurately transcribe these stories, and so many stories from Celtic mythology have been changed in order to fit with Christian views, such as heroes, such as gods or deities being reimagined as heroes or witches, and so on. And Fionn McCool is one of the few who is relatively unaffected by this. Fionn McCool was a hero from Celtic myth, the son of a great warrior whose accomplishments still inspire today. His hard work and determination inspires us to do similar. And it particularly inspires me because of my connections to him through my Irish and Scottish heritage. Thank you for listening.